Hi folks, Unitic, also known as Logan here, and I'm recording my second video specifically for our new website, trekfortruth.org. I wanted to record this video before I actually hit the trail in just a few days. I'm recording this on Tuesday, and we're leaving for Delaware on Friday, April the 17th, my 55th birthday, and start hiking on Saturday the 18th from the beach in Delaware, start coming west. And I wanted to share a little bit about why this hike is advocating for a larger topic than just Lyme disease, which was what my last hike was trying to raise awareness about, the facts and the truth that is honestly being suppressed from the public intentionally about the largest epidemic in the world, Lyme disease. Because over the last couple of years, it's become really evident to me that there's a larger problem than just any one particular disease, and that includes Lyme. Put it in context, give you a little bit of background about me. I'm a lifelong history nut. Studied it voraciously all my life from early childhood. And after I got out of the military, I served in the 101st Airborne Division and got out in 1985 at the age of 25. I went back to school to finish my undergraduate degree, had a flare-up of being practical, and studied finance, something that didn't really call to me. Wound up a few years later going to work for a bank. Did not align with that at all. And at the age of 29, I quit the bank, took my savings, and went back to graduate school and studied modern European and American history. And actually got to hear Howard Zinn give a lecture in the fall of 1990 there at the University of Louisville, leading up to the first Gulf War. And in hindsight, that was kind of where a fuse was lit for me to continue my research, but perhaps to start looking outside mainstream information in trying to answer those questions about why the world is the way it is. And Howard Zinn was a big influence. His book, The People's History of the United States, ought to be required reading in every history class across this country. But as you delve into this Alice in Wonderland arena of hidden history, you'll understand why it's not. So anyway, I had already been researching and spending a good part of my adult life in these areas, but when I got sick with Lyme disease, it took me down that Alice in Wonderland rabbit hole in ways I never could have anticipated. At first, I couldn't understand why this widespread epidemic was being ignored, and very quickly it became evident to me that it was being intentionally ignored, that disinformation was coming out from organizations like the Center for Disease Control, the Infectious Diseases Society of America, the AMA, and other organizations that I had been raised to believe were in existence to protect and support public health and public well-being. I've since found out that's not the case at all, and I found that out just from studying history, from good old classic historical research. And if you want to get a better understanding of why so many people are sick in this country, you really got to go back in time and research the evolution of what we would call Western medicine, allopathic medicine, which really goes all the way back to the late 1800s when Louis Pasteur, a chemist, was doing research at the same time one of his contemporaries, a gentleman by the name of Antoine Beauchamp, was researching, both looking for the cause of disease. Beauchamp was a genius of his day and regarded far higher than Pasteur was in his era. Pasteur was fairly well thought of as a politician and someone after furthering their own career. Beauchamp was so universally loved because he was a pure scientist that was pursuing his passion and sharing it freely with the world without a lot of forethought about public acclaim and public wealth. Well, Pasteur's germ theory, obviously, we're all well aware of, and it's generally accepted as the cause of disease. Beauchamp was putting forth something he called terrain theory that was about the concept that a balanced human body that is well nourished with good nutrition, that gets adequate sleep, exercise, has an environment that's relatively healthy, can manage stress, that literally disease cannot take root in that terrain, and that if disease was actually caused solely by germs, that theoretically everybody on the planet would be sick all the time because these quote-unquote pathogenic germs are always present. But that's not the case. Well, long story short, a very powerful business person at that time, who I would refer to as consummate con artist, and I'm talking about John D. Rockefeller Sr., who got it very quickly that the best con artists in the world always surround their con with truth. Any accomplished liar knows you can't just unabashedly lie about everything. You need to bury the strategic lie in a lot of truth. And Rockefeller had done that masterfully as he became the most successful monopolist of the late 1800s, probably in U.S. history, cornered the market on oil refining and oil, Standard Oil. Most of you all know that story. But he very quickly saw that in Pasteur's discovery, quote unquote, was an opportunity to create pharmaceutical medicine as the standard of care in this United States. And he used all of his wealth, all of his influence to do in the medical industry just what he had done in the energy industry, to corner the market, to elbow out competition, to do whatever it takes, ethical, immoral, didn't matter, just as it didn't matter when he became an oil baron. You know, in his day, John D. Rockefeller Sr. was one of the most hated men in America until he got a good PR agent, a guy named Edward Bernays, who I write about in some of my other articles on this site, and reinvented the Rockefeller image. And his son, John D. Jr., kind of took that baton and carried it forward. By all rights, John D. Sr. should be considered the father of Western medicine, or the grandfather, and John D. Jr. should get a lot of credit too. If you go back to the year 1913, and I'll put a graphic up on the website that highlights why that year was so pivotal on a number of different levels, you'll see some organizations that come into existence and come to the forefront that help reinforce what I'm trying to share in this video. And what I'm trying to share is basically that Western medicine was designed from its inception to be a monopoly. That allopathic medicine, the medicine of the pharmaceutical industry, which grew out of the chemical industry, which again was dominated by the Rockefeller family and people of their ilk, was all designed from its inception to be about making money and to be about control. It was never designed by the ultimate designers to heal people. It was designed to expand profitable disease, create symptomatic treatments, toxic symptomatic treatments that might make you more able to live with a disease. But at its inception, it was never intended to be a curative agent. You know, it sounds very dark to say it, but it's the absolute truth that Rockefeller and many of his contemporaries of the time were avowed eugenicists. He funded eugenics research in this country, at the Kaiser Wilhelm Institute, in pre-war Germany, pre-Nazi Germany. You know, and eugenics, by definition, believe that certain people deserve to be on this planet and certain people don't. They believe that there's far too many people on this planet, and that they and their fellow elite have the knowledge and the wisdom to decide who should stay and who should go. And all you've got to do is look at the historical record to understand that that was a deeply held belief by John D. Rockefeller and the people that followed him. and the people that were his contemporaries and his successors. If you keep that context in mind, what's happening in today's medical model and today's health environment here in the United States makes a lot more sense. Why do we have so many people so sick? Why are disease rates exploding? Why are we being almost mandated in recent weeks, and that may come, to take vaccinations on every disease topic known to man? Why is there this full court press to mandate how you take care of your health, at the same time taking away your ability to choose healthy ways of living with access to clean, organic food, non-pesticide laden, clean water, clean air? These are the bigger picture topics that I've been diving into for years now, and it's the biggest reason why I want to talk about more than Lyme disease. Lyme disease was a gatekeeper experience for me. It brought me in to having a personal experience with this greater topic that I'm trying to share with you right now. But it was just an access point for me, because there's so many people sick with supposedly so many different diseases taking place all over the country and the world. And the germ theory of disease is not intended to get people well. If you think about it, it is a growth industry. I write a blog post that's available now on disease, a growth industry, and the new products are the new diseases, whereby the underlying causative agents of all those diseases really are universal. And if we all had access, and this is where personal responsibility comes into play, to the food, the water, the air, the absence of chemicals, products that don't poison us with what we put on our skin and what we put inside of us, what we surround ourselves with. There's a lot of intentionality at certain levels of what some people call a ruling elite, that these kinds of toxins help keep people sick. And people that are sick, stressed, economically challenged are not people that are operating at their highest potential. They're not people whose consciousness and intellect are really examining and critically thinking about what's going on around them. They're just in survival mode, and they're constantly stressed with different ways to generate fear. And fear and emotional stress are underlying precursors to all ill health, without question. Even mainstream medicine admits that. So I've talked a lot in recent videos and blog posts about rethinking how you interpret what's going on in our healthcare system. And healthcare in quotes, maybe disease management is more likely. And if you reframe that the system is not really broken, it's operating perfectly as it was originally designed. And if we get that, then maybe we can think about designing something that gets at a different end, and that's health and peace of mind for more of us, not just a select few. Organizations like the FDA, the CDC, and IDSA, Infectious Diseases Society of America, the National Cancer Institute, are populated in the vast majority by wonderful people. But they're caught in a system, just like I was when I was working in banking, where I couldn't affect change from the level I was at because I really wasn't aware of what was happening at the boardroom level and what the higher level folks who had access to more information were really trying to accomplish and were really well aware of. So I think it's quite amazing the amount of health and healing and progress that's been made by Western medicine and all the wonderful people involved in it, despite the ultimate structure of that system as it was designed. I think it's a testament to human ingenuity, compassion, and empathy that the vast majority of us operate from those principles. But I think it's naive anymore to keep ignoring the fact that not all people operate that way. And there are countless examples at the pinnacle of the financial world, the energy world, the medical world, the government world, where people at the very top many times are operating at their own best interest and not ours. And that's just getting to be more and more evident, more and more common sense. So I really wanted to record a video about this early on. I want to encourage you to seek out this information on our site. You can look under the health tab, the health category, and you'll find a lot of information, including some more detailed information about the history of allopathic medicine, the involvement of people like J.D. Rockefeller, the Flexner brothers, who were actually natives of Louisville, Kentucky, where I'm recording this from. So many others. It's a deep and rich history, but it's not being taught in our compulsory public education program. But it's more and more important that more and more people have access to this information, and that's a big part of why I'm trying to walk across this country. I don't think of this information as negative. I think of it as empowering. What's negative is what Einstein used to call a definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And expecting healing out of a system that was never designed to produce that, is insane once you understand the facts. So that's my primer for today. I hope that this is not too heavy of a topic this early on in the project, but I'd love to talk about these kinds of things as we meet with citizens and residents of the U.S. in the months to come. And I really wanted to share this information. We have far more healing capacity inside of each one of us than we know. There's a wonderful video I just uploaded by Dr. Bruce Lipton, who I mentioned in the introductory video, that you'll find on our homepage, and it's about his book Biology of Belief. It's a 90-minute video of him giving a lecture. It's incredibly uplifting. It's based on science, but it's also based on the depth of power of the human spirit and our ability, as we embrace the level of emotional healing down below our physical presence, of the power we have to heal ourselves. And a lot of Lyme patients I know are really waking up to that power and knowing that that's got to be a part of their healing process. So for today, strength and courage to each one of you all. Thanks for tuning in, and it's Unitic out.